Greetings, and welcome to episode 156 of Bardic Quest. Our heroes, now refreshed from their victory over the Shadow Dragon, are tasked with traversing the Shadowfell on their quest to liberate Johann's soul. But where do they begin? And what terrors await them as they travel across this plane of shadow? So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Bardic Quest. You are obviously in the Shadowfell. You have just defeated the dragon. You have had your post-combat conversations about the defeat and the slaying of the dragon, and indeed Saga's new compulsions, shall we say. And we left off with all of you resting up in the Shadow Dragon's cave.
Yes.
And beginning what would be for you a long rest.
Calais.
Calais.
Long rest.
Almost conspicuously, perhaps due to a dragon presumably being at the top of its own food chain.
We hope.
Your rest in this cave actually passes uneventfully, aside from the occasional unsettling noise of the Shadowfell, which turns out to be nothing but unsettling noise. But aside from that, your camping out, your rest in this cave passes uneventfully. And as the dawn breaks, there is a pale, sickly light shadows across the stone walls. The air here is quite heavy, thick and oppressive. And as you rouse from your collective rests, a sense of desolation begins to settle in. Like a cold fog creeping into your mind. The shadows here seem deeper, filled with a inescapable sorrow that kind of gnaws at the edges of your consciousness. It feels as though the very essence of this place, the Shadowfell, seeks to drain any sense of hope, leaving you quite vulnerable to the encroaching despair that seems to lurk in the shadows here. So you can each take the benefits of a long rest, but I am also going to need from each of you a wisdom saving throw, please. What are we looking at?
That's 19 from me.
Nice.
16.
16.
Okay, nice. Okay. Thankfully, this oppression, this feeling of this weight, whilst you acknowledge that it's there, it doesn't seem to have any particular negative effects on you this morning. So you can each take, as I say, the benefits of a long rest without any fear of anything else happening. But for those of you that do need to make any preparations for the day ahead, particularly you, Thoric, in terms of spells and such, now would be the time. And I'm sure, Isaac, you have given much thought as to what spells you're going to prepare for today.
Any particular ones?
Please. Please.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, to be honest with you.
Oh, come on.
No. No, I'm well aware. I don't think my spell. I'm gonna have a little cursory glance and see if there's anything in particular that I need to also want to prepare. But I'm definitely preparing remove curse because of reasons. But yes, I will. I won't take up airtime with my spell list. I'll just quietly do that in the background with the other ones if there are any massive changes. I don't think there will be.
You didn't have anything other specific that you wanted to announce?
There might be, but I don't want to make everyone just wait for me to read through quite a large option of spells now. It's like, what does that do again? Oh yes.
Well, I suppose as a cleric, you do have access to everything, don't you? Aside from what you choose, obviously.
Which is great, but...
Okay, so... yes, but also cumbersome at the same time. So, obviously, Thoric, you're making your various prayers and such this morning as you prepare your spells for the day. Saga and Marvelous, was there anything you wished to do when you first awakened this morning?
Not for me. Apologies. Ugh.
I think sensing the dread in the air, looking at where we are and the road that lies ahead, in preparing my spells, I'm only going to swap out one spell for another. I'm going to swap out Find Steed, no battle starts today, I'm afraid. And I will be swapping in Protection from Evil and Good.
Nice.
Good choice.
Good choice. Good choice. Okay, so making your own prayers this morning then, Marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you now are rested. It is obviously morning here in the Shadowfell. You now are here, obviously, with the intention of finding and freeing Johann's soul, as suggested by Bernard Truesilver. So, what's your plan for the day?
Thoric, having kind of gone to the mouth of the cave...
with the...
Oh, sorry, Marvelous.
With the dragon, we passed up what we need.
Aye.
Wine-wise, yes, I'm sure.
Hopefully there won't be any more dragons. Thoric going to the mouth of the cave to kind of prepare his spells for the day, kind of unsettled by the difference in sunlight, and kind of it's not the sort of material plane sunshine that he's used to, but this kind of very sickly pale colour. He has to kind of dig a little deeper to find... There's almost like not a disconnect from his magic, but he has to really think about accessing that, and almost like the distance is greater between him and his deity in that moment. But amongst other things, he prepares Remove Curse, and then kind of quite sheepishly goes over to Saga. He says, I have it now.
Oh, thank goodness. Please. As soon as you can.
I'm sorry that you had to go through that yesterday. That must have been hard.
Worse than you can imagine. Just, please. Can't bear to feel this way.
And Thoric prepares to remove the curse. So he kind of just more thematically, because it's just a touch spell. It just kind of almost happens, but he holds out his palms for Saga to like rest hers on top of, and kind of just closes his eyes for a moment, and in Dwarvish, which I believe Saga understands, he just intones the words, by the light given me, wash her clean. You have no hold on her. It is done. And with the final word, kind of waves of silver energy kind of come through his own palms, and there's almost like a glow between their two hands. And if it works, which I'm hoping it does, the clawed fingers of Saga would start to recede, looking at Wayne to see if he's about to go, actually.
If I'm going to give anything away. The clawed fingers of Saga do indeed begin to recede, as does that underbite that she was beginning to develop, and that kind of almost snouty look all starts to shift and recede back to the features of the Saga that you know. That kind of heightened sense of smell that you had, Saga, begins to dissipate as the smell of the dragon corpse and such, whereas before it may perhaps have actually perhaps excited you is perhaps too strong a term, but you get the idea. Whereas it might have been a very positive smell for you, one that makes your stomach rumble. It has an impact on your stomach now, but more making your stomach churn than perhaps, as that smell is still quite strong, less strong than it was to you before, but certainly managing to understand the unpleasantness with which you and the rest of your campmates have had to rest in this cave with this dragon corpse with you.
What? Oh God! Smile.
Are you okay? Did it
Oh,
work?
good. Marvelous sort of mutters a silent prayer to silent thanks to the gods as he puts his sword, which had been about an inch out of its scabbard, back. She's like, good to have you back with us.
She sort of touches her face and goes, and looks at her hands. So it worked.
I think so. How do you feel?
Well, I can smell that now in a different way. Yeah.
Has a certain bouquet, does it not?
Definitely. Let's just all agree to forget yesterday.
Sure.
What happened in the Shadowfell stays in the Shadowfell, okay?
Not a word.
Good.
Other than maybe slaying the dragon, that's quite.
I've already forgotten.
Yep, we'll
Yes,
see
I might.
that.
Yes.
We'll keep that. Wayne, mechanical question.
Yes.
I did receive buffs to my speed, at
Yes.
least, when
Yes.
I got a said curse.
Yes.
Does that remain? What do I do? to my
That
character?
would somewhat be having your cake and eating it too.
I know. Yeah, I definitely know I put...
Yes, I'm afraid all
Yeah.
positives and negatives have been removed from you, I'm afraid.
I'm definitely gonna take the extra speed, and because I put 2 points in dexterity as well.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else, because I think I said please take notes. Remind. I'm gonna take those off now.
Any resistances and such that you may have
Yeah.
had. will also
Oh
be-
yes, that one. Yeah, the resistances go.
I think that was everything.
Cool.
I clap Thoric round the shoulders and say, I never doubted you for a moment, brother.
Thank you. I just I won't lie, I was a little panicked seeing the different phases of the moon in this place. I suppose, thinking about it now, it makes some kind of sense, but certainly wasn't something I foresaw, which was... I feel a bit of an idiot, really.
Why would you?
None of us knew that time moves differently here.
Yes, there may be a great many things different here. We should proceed with caution and take nothing for granted.
Aye. Well, we need to find this Caro then.
Any idea which way we go?
I can certainly ask the runes if you give me a few minutes over breakfast. A proper breakfast.
Breakfast sounds good.
Thoric starts to kind of like multitask, using some of the sort of probably using some of the last fresh supplies. He's probably got like a few, maybe like some bacon because it keeps pretty well, and maybe a few that he kind of takes out of a little tin, like padded tin, like little egg thing. It's got like a little, or like a little chicken rune on it, and then mixes that and like some porridge and hardtack alongside it.
Chicken rune.
Chicken rune. And yeah, he starts doing that while kind of multitasking and sort of rolling the runes in his shield as I ritually cast augury.
Okay, so augury is one question, woe, wheel, or woe and wheel. Is that the one?
Yeah, wheel and woe, or nothing. And
Right, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
the question he'll ask.
So,
The question he'll ask is, well, are there any kind of looking out? Are there any kind of obvious ways that look not passable, or are there any kind of landmarks or things that they can see? Just a cursory glance peeking outside of the cave mouth.
So the landscape around you, as you were outside the cave, was the hills with all the gnarled trees. And the hills descend essentially into what looks like a canopied swampland. And a few miles into that swampland, you can actually see, rising above the canopy, is a gnarled, twisted, almost like gigantic tree without leaves, just twisted and creepy looking. And it's huge, like rises up above the canopy, maybe twice as high as the canopy actually is.
Okay.
I'm no expert, but usually when something looks that ominous, it means it attracts the ominous, if you know what I mean.
Aye. So I'll ask the runes, if we go to the big creepy tree, will we find Caro?
Mm-hmm. The runes tell you that the answer is wheel.
Almost with probably a bit of trepidation, as much as kind of confirming their thoughts, seeing the runes land in that configuration with all of the faces up. He's kind of filled with this slight moment of dread, knowing that she's here, it's here. It's the distance feels a lot more visceral, I think. And he nods and just says, "Aye, we'll find her there."
The swamp, then. Could he?
Starga, I presume you are also involved in this conversation as to next steps here. why don't you give me a survival check?
It's a 30.
A 13. Your best estimate is that tree is probably about 20 miles from your current position.
Mhm.
If you were not in hills or up the hills, you probably wouldn't be able to see it from ground level, so to speak.
As someone who's used to the metric system, how long would 20 miles take?
Just short of a day's travel.
Man.
You're probably looking at about 6 to 7 hours, depending on how fast you travel, of course. But
Okay.
assuming a kind of standard pace,
Mhm.
yeah, you're probably looking at about 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours.
That's a day's travel, I think, roughly. Long way.
Well, look at it this way. At least we don't have to fight Caro today.
Unless she's,
Why would you say that?
Unless she's got booby traps or spies or something. But yes. Let's go.
I would not expect it to be a jaunt through the rose garden.
No, maybe there's like a coven of witches we'll have to deal with or something.
Maybe. Well, we were given such a warm reception as soon as we
I
arrived.
don't know how manifesting works here, but
Johann said it was a coven.
we'll be
Go
ready.
ahead, Marvel. Okay. So, are you packing up and getting ready to leave then, in that case?
Yep.
All right. Anything that anybody would like to do as you're packing up at this point and going? Any preparations for the journey ahead that anybody would like to make?
Are we in the journey?
No, so we're not going to use the Uncharted Journeys
Worries?
system in this instance.
No, just packing up the gear, popping it on my squire, and getting ready to move on foot.
Okay.
Saka's gonna make sure she's got that wool pick somewhere easily accessible. She's gonna put it on her belt.
Thoric?
No, just we've already gone through the hoard of any useful items we might have. Was there anything we hadn't had time to identify? Was my only one thing. No, we looked at everything.
I think it was all identical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you pack up your things then, make your final preparations to go, and then you begin to traverse these hills as you make your way downward towards the swampland and that gnarled tree that you could see. And as you set out in this perpetually dim-looking sky of the Shadowfell, the hills descend, their outlines kind of blurred behind what seems to be a gathering storm. And as you begin to descend, the first drops of icy rain splatter against the ground, quickly building into a relentless downpour that obscures your vision somewhat. The hills, shrouded in mist and shadow, loom like ancient sleeping giants, and every now and then, a little bit of lightning just flickers across the sky. And those bolts of lightning, those flashes, cast an eerie momentary light over what is essentially rather craggy-looking terrain. The wind howls, driving the rain in stinging sheets that chill you to the core. Thunder rumbles as a constant reminder of this storm's fury as you navigate this now slick and treacherous path downward. Each step being a battle against the elements, and the hills echoing with the fury of the storm as you forge ahead. I'm going to need a perception check from everybody, please.
Very perceptive, Thoric.
6.
Dirty 20.
Ooh.
Nice.
Like,
Marvelous.
Even with the advantage, that is 7.
Thoric. As you navigate down this treacherous, hilly path, there is a foul stench that hits your nostrils. A stench of decay. And you believe that from the shadows ahead, behind some gnarled trees and crags, you can see movement. Movement of something particularly huge. And I use that word deliberately.
I stop everyone and just kind of like duck a bit lower and just sort of indicate it to my fellows and say, there's something there. It's huge.
What?
Do I get a glimpse of what it looks like?
what do you see?
With a dirty 20, I think probably yes. You can see what looks to be a huge, grotesque figure. Its flesh is swollen and discolored, and it looks to you, if your eyes aren't deceiving you, to be essentially a mass of fused corpses just shambling through the hills. Its many limbs moving with natural, jerky motions. It's the many eyes of these various corpses glazed and their mouths agape, and you can just about make out a sort of chorus of low guttural moans that reverberate through the mist.
Ooh.
Could I get from everybody, because it sounds as though you are keeping watch of this thing, could I get a stealth check from everybody, please?
Oh dear. Yep. 8.
What have we got?
19.
Thoric?
8.
Okay. Marvelous.
A 7.
Okay. I mean, the two of you are probably the most heavily armed.
I've got my shield and my mirror trying to look down, but I'm just reflecting light.
Yeah.
Just
So, Thoric, you are also aware that this figure is certainly not alone. And it kind of, this hulking, huge form kind of moves into view, so you all get a view of it. It's a really unsettling thing. And it is huge with a capital H, in that it is about 15 foot tall. It's massive. And from the flanks, you see 3 of your favorites, ghouls, just skulk into view. They're emaciated, hunched forms, ready to pounce. Their pallid skin stretching tight over their muscles and bone, with feral glints of hunger in their eyes, their long clawed fingers twitching with anticipation as they lick their lips and begin to charge in. So, everybody, let's please roll some initiative.
Lemon ghouls, man.
Oh,
Lemon ghouls.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Your faves.
10.
All right. 10.
16.
All right.
Mm.
Nice.
How is 10 nice for initiative?
It's nice for me.
Yeah.
16.
And 18 for me.
Thoric. All right. So, Saga. 16, did you say, Thoric?
Yep.
Yours was what, sorry?
18.
18. Okay. Okay, and then I'll have the ghouls all go on the same initiative count just to keep things simple. So they will go at 12. All right, so it's going to be the big hulking figure first. Just beating Marvelous with 1 on the initiative. So 19 for the big hulking thing. So this thing comes into view, obviously, from behind the rocks and such. And it is going to begin by... it's basically going to take a clump of corpses and just hurl them towards
It's just so
Thoric
unsettling.
here.
Great.
What's that, sorry?
So unsettling.
Excellent. So it's going to hurl this clump of corpses at you, Thoric. And I'm going to need you to make, please, a strength saving throw.
Okay. 13.
13 is not going to cut it, I'm afraid. As you are going to take... Ooh, ouch. That was a very high roll. You're going to take 24 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh,
And these corpses are going to wrap themselves around you, almost like entombing you in a case of dead flesh, which means you're going to be restrained, meaning that your speed is 0. Attack rolls against you have advantage, and your attack rolls have disadvantage, and you have disadvantage on dex saving throws. Good news, though, you do have total cover. From anything attacking from outside.
Hey there, Questers. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say a huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Your support really helps to keep this channel going strong. So I wanted to give a special shout out to each and every one of you, our incredible patrons and YouTube members, who are Woodstrapper, Simon Jelly, Martin C, Gallus, Gary Lloyd, James Hamilton, J.R. Bellaston, Robert Treadwell, Jason Udall, Jason Bradwell, Nigel Raggett, Rebecca Hill, Giles McGee, and Caesars. Honestly, your support truly makes a huge difference, and we appreciate you more than we can express. And to those of you who haven't yet joined, I would invite you to consider becoming a patron or YouTube member. Not only will you unlock fantastic benefits, including early access to videos, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and access to our Discord channel, but you'll also be directly contributing to the growth and success of this channel. But to everybody, thank you again for all of your support and helping us to tell these incredible adventures together.